As the Money Burns is an original podcast by Nikki Woodard. Based on historical research, this is a deep exploration into what happened to a set of actual heirs and heiresses to some of America's most famous fortunes when the Great Depression hits. Each episode has 3 primary sections. Section 1 is a narrative story. Section 2 goes deeper into the historical facts. Section 3 focuses on contemporary, emotional, and personal connections. Story recap. Doris Duke explores anonymity and the West Coast, while Jessie Astor floats with potential brides. Now back to As Money Burns. Curves. A fortune hunter returns with his heiress bride from their honeymoon to collect her inheritance. Has he finally secured his ultimate prize? Section 1. Story. Oh, how much can change in almost a year. Seriously, shy a year by a week or a month, give or take? Late summer 1932 Spain. 2 lovers are caught in bed by his wife and friends. The mistress flees. Last November 1932 Europe. A divorce frees the lover, and now flushed with the cash settlement, he will use it all to woo his mistress if needed. Last December 1932 New York. The lover begs on her townhome steps for her to be with him. She refuses. January to February 1933. Bereft, he boards the Bremen and returns to Paris. Then, to avoid further scandal, the mistress sails for the Orient. April to May 1933. Bangkok, Siam. The lover, aware of her movements, chases her and wins her back. They get engaged. June 1933 Paris. They have a huge wedding, one of 2 ceremonies, followed by a honeymoon to Venice, Lake Como, and other romantic places. Only the lover isn't just a lover. He's a prince, per se. A fake one, but good enough as one of the illustrious Marilyn Mdivanis. 5 fake royal siblings marry into wealth and prestige while giving everyone else a ride. The youngest of these infamous siblings, the ruggedly handsome and no longer impoverished Prince Alexis Mdivani, is the lover, now husband. And thus his mistress and new bride is none other than 5-and-dime heiress, the slimming down fashionista, Barbara Hutton, now Princess Mdivani. Monday, November 6, 1933, New York. Arriving aboard the Bremen ocean liner, the same one on which he so broken-heartedly left earlier this year, the couple arrived to great fanfare and press attention. At Ellis Island, the couple spent hours going through immigration. Waiting in the aliens line, Barbara is not quite sure how the marriage has impacted her citizenship status, but also to ensure Alexis is cleared. He, however, runs into a tiny dilemma. His diplomatic passport is denied as he is not on official business. Back in Paris, the prince serves as part of the Georgian delegation representing the now Soviet state of Georgia in defiance of communist Russia. Only he readily admits his trip is personal, not professional, nor political. Their intentions are to see friends, to see shows, and to have a good time. This 2 to 3 month visit will not include his brothers, Prince Serge Mdivani and Prince David Mdivani, in California, as the focus will remain solely on visiting with her father, Franklin Hutton, in New York. When finished, the couple will potentially, via China, return to Paris to live. In other words, they want to avoid the scandals surrounding his brother's divorces and their oil company lawsuits. Seriously, they are here for more important matters. In little over a week's time, Barbara will turn 21, thus coming into her full fortune. Headlines indicate anywhere from 10 to 20 million, 249 million to 498 million today, as part of her third of the inheritance left behind by her grandfather, Frank Woolworth, as her mother, Edna Woolworth Hutton, had predeceased her parents. But in reality, it is nearly $42 to $50 million, $1.047 billion or $1.25 billion in 2025, as Barbara's father, Franklin Hutton, managed to double her fortune despite the crash. Franklin is brother and partner of E.F. Hutton financial firm. For his diligent efforts, Franklin will receive a cool $5 million. That would be $124.6 million in 2025. And Alexis, too, will be handed $1 million or $24.9 million today. Plus, he can expect a yearly allowance. Finally, the couple are listed as aliens and admitted to the United States. Aboard the Bremen, they are interviewed by the press with a barrage of questions. Speculations if Alexis could be selling champagne or trying to extend his political influence for the Georgian delegation. Asked about the New York City mayoral race and the likeliness of a socialist or communist running, he scoffs at having interest in local politics. He waves them off that none of that interests him on this particular trip. Then the focus turns to the new bride. As they take a snapshot of her and her prince, Barbara nervously claims, very, very, very happy. She smiles, but deep inside, something is off. Now a fashion icon, it must be noted their outfits. The prince in gray suit with brown suede brogues complements her. She wears mellow shades of brown blending with her golden hair, plain crepe dress, Alaskan seal fur coat, brown seal turban, tiny brown muffs, brown oxfords, and brown bag with her engraved initials, B.M. Minimal jewelry of gold shell earrings and tiny gold anklet under her sheer hose. Regarding her fashion choices, another reporter asked if the princess is going Mae West with her curve flaunting fashion, to which Barbara demurely replies, "Goodness, no. Mae West? Heavens, no. Paris dresses just the same." The one detail not overlooked and persistently mentioned is that the princess is a noticeable 20 pounds lighter than when she left earlier this year. Greeting the royal newlyweds at the gangplank are devoted cousin James Jimmy Donahue, former ardent admirer James Blakely, and the popular society blue blood baritone bachelor Bobby LaBranche. By the evening, the newlyweds cross over the same Fifth Avenue townhome steps where Alexis once pleaded to see Barbara December nearly a year ago. Now inside, they have dinner with her friends and family, including Aunt Jessie Woolworth Donahue. Later that evening, Alexis and Barbara dance at the Central Park Casino. She stuns in a tightly fitted black velvet creation trimmed with black and white mousseline de soie. Prior to the Mdivani's return, cousin Jean did a brief acting stint in the small show Hot and Bothered, starring Oscar Shaw and Dorothy Dilley. Jean played Dilley's best friend, and there was a slight rumor already dismissed hinting at a romance between Dilley and Jean. Maybe Jean was competing for the same attention his brother Woolworth Woolley Donahue is drumming up with his engagement to Dorothy Dottie Fell. Within the first few days of their visit, Barbara and Alexis make their way to the Music Box on Broadway to see a new satirical revue that is drawing quite a bit of attention. As Thousands Cheer by Irving Berlin and Moss Hart opened in early October. It is a collection of scathing and rather bawdy skits lampooning many featured in current news headlines, but overall the tone is more lighthearted and not bitter nor venomous. The review takes off with quite a splash. Comedian and dancers Clifton Webb and Marilyn Miller lead an all-star cast with skits taken straight from the headlines. The good-natured ribbing leaves very few unscathed, including Prince David, Prince of Wales, future King Edward VIII, future Duke of Windsor, discussing with his parents, King George V and Queen Mary, about dancing with a young lady in South America. On another hunger strike, Gandhi obsesses over Mae West's curves. And even actress Joan Crawford negotiates with soon-to-be ex-husband, actor Douglas Fairbanks Jr., on who gets the public rights to their divorce. But the skit relevant for this night's guest? Marilyn Miller portrays Barbara Hutton trying to choose among her choral quartet of the most ardent and persistent suitors, when the last survivor, Clifton Webb, as Mdivani wins her heart in marriage. Throughout the performance, Miller and Webb are nervous that they might offend the celebrity couple. Only when they return to their dressing rooms, they receive a note from Barbara and the prince complimenting them on their performance. Sunday, November 12, 1933. Only the day before, the tall and less awkward Doris Duke returns from Los Angeles to New York in time for her upcoming 21st birthday. Less than a week after the Elsa Maxwell's great scavenger hunt at the Waldorf Astoria, Sergei's first ex-wife, silver screen silent star Pola Negri, has to deal with the humiliation of the public claim that she lost her scanties as one of the many desired trophies to collect. The item in dispute was secured by none other than the same above social registrite, Bobby Labranche, and his scavenger partner, Hank Topping. The forged 29-cent pink artificial silk panties was just another prank played on dear Bobby and Hank, all to Pola's dismay and public embarrassment. Upon discovery of the phony panties, actress Marilyn Miller graciously offers her autographed sock as a replacement. In other gossip tidbits, soon-to-be ex-Princess Mdivani via Sergei, songbird Mary McCormick is linked with actress Anne Harding's ex-husband, actor Harry Bannister. Tuesday, November 14, 1933. At the 1020 Fifth Avenue Hutton townhome, the morning starts after breakfast with Barbara unwrapping gifts in her bedroom. Amidst preparation, she chats with Jim, who always cheers her up. She whines about her concerns over being a cash register, and he teases she should have married Alfred Vanderbilt Jr., an Astor or likewise heir. From Los Angeles, other breaking news announces that Prince Sergei Mdivani and Mary McCormick are now officially divorced. Barbara is now the sole Princess Mdivani, a title which is its own press attention magnet. As for the Huttons and the newlyweds, the news hardly interrupts their plans and focus for today. Meanwhile, all day 16 servants work to prepare for the evening's dinner party when 50 guests will join the big celebration. Outside, police manage the crowd and guard against gatecrashers. The street and whole block are full of spectators trying to catch a glimpse. The fanfare as guests arrive and details like fashions get noted. Of course, the most mentioned ensemble is Barbara wearing a gold brocade dress with her jade necklace and bracelet. Inside, Franklin welcomes guests with a small speech. Among them is fellow Scorpio and near-future birthday girl, Doris Duke. Throughout the evenings, opera singers perform and a Hungarian orchestra plays folk music with exotic gypsy-like aura. Clifton Webb dances with Barbara. Guests mingle and move about 22 tables spread out over the 8th and 9th floors. Wine and champagne flow as prohibition nears an end, but the birthday girl drinks only water, having not yet acquired the taste. Dinner is served in a large room with an open fire. However, in contrast to all the glamour and excitement, one guest upon leaving mentions to the awaiting press the rather simple dinner was not exceptional. When the moment finally arrives, Barbara sings for her guests, then does a little impromptu dance before cutting her pink birthday cake with 21 candles. The party is beautiful. What more could she still wish for? She smiles, but hardly touches her food, even the cake. With a bit of mysticism and humor for the evening, magician and mind reader Dunninger first tries to read the birthday girl, who fills her head with Chinese proverbs. For his turn, the prince refuses a reading. Not sure if that would be necessary to guess what he's thinking about. Without being too pushy, Dunninger moves on to other guests. Wednesday, November 15, 1933. Another party is given for Barbara and Prince Alexis at La Rue restaurant. Among those participating, Franklin, stepmother Irene Hutton, cousin Bully, and his fiancée, Dorothy Dilley, M. Dorland Larry Doyles, Jane Bride, John Watts Kearney, John Carney, Gordon Sayre, and Sam Pisa. Over at the Waldorf Astoria, Elsa Maxwell hosts visiting from England William Waldorf Astor's farewell party. On the arm of Martin Van Buren Morris, Doris attends the fete in a black crepe dress trimmed with rose velvet flaring at the floor, and her blonde hair braided on top. While the official birthday party for the now 21-year-old Barbara is over, more celebrations are yet to come, and all the more glorious due to her sizable and now fully accessible fortune. The public is more interested as to when she receives that big fat check. Within a few days, she makes the petition in court for the full access. Ah, an heiress now a princess with her prince and fortune all to her own. What is left that she could still possibly wish for? If only the mind reader had been a fortune teller who could have warned her of the future before her. Section 2, History and Historiography. As I have mentioned, I thoroughly try to compare multiple sources while covering an episode. My newspaper archive is now over 5,055 articles and ever growing. However, this method has also allowed me to uncover new stories. Barbara Hutton's birthday is remarked in all four biographies. Barbara Hutton by anti-Barbara journalist Dean Jennings, Million Dollar Baby by her friend and former companion Philip von Rensselaer, Poor Little Rich Girl by the problematic David Heymann, and In Search of a Prince by her former social secretary Mona Eldridge, as well as two other sources where her relationship is featured with Prince Alexis Mdivani. I will leave those two unnamed for the moment, but one will be explained in the next Mdivani-focused episode. Now, all the bios plus the two unnamed sources mention her turning 21 and getting her fortune, mostly with little detail, but only Million Dollar Baby gives some embellishments, like Barbara dancing with Clifton Webb and a conversation Barbara might have had with her cousin James Donahue, whom we refer to as his personal private nickname Jim, while he is popularly known as Jimmy, changed due to other same-name conflicts within our story. As Barbara complains about being a cash register in regards to Alexis's spending and the pressure mounting with brother-in-laws Prince Serge Mdivani and Prince David Mdivani's oil company lawsuits and divorce settlements. Jean teases Barbara that she should have married Alfred Vanderbilt Jr. or an Astor or someone of equal wealth. Though contextually in wording, it almost sounds like Barbara wasn't married to Alexis, so maybe Jean was referring to a future potential second marriage, as divorce was becoming common among the wealthy, and especially the Mdivani siblings. I say embellish, as the author Philip van Rensselaer mentions he added some flair to certain situations during the plagiarism lawsuit against Heymann for stealing select passages without attribution. The passages include some of those embellished, thus easily identified as the sole possible source. However, within Poor Little Rich Girl, I did not see this conversation repeated. Now, all the bios, plus the two unnamed sources other than that conversation and the web dancing partner, share the same details. If there is any elaboration, they include the location, the meal, the fortune. What none of the bios nor the two unnamed sources include or mention the musical review As Thousands Cheer by Irving Berlin and Moss Hart. Not a single one. And yet it is all over the contemporary newspapers along with her birthday coverage. Of course, you might remember Barbara is already mentioned in Noel Coward's song, Poor Little Rich Girl, with the reference to the five and dime store, i.e. her grandfather's Woolworth Empire. In her TV movie with Farrah Fawcett, Barbara smashes the record when people use it to mock her during her secret courtship with Mdivani. But the song and play signify her presence in the pop culture, though this time she seems amused by the attention, maybe due to the company within the review. Opening on Broadway in early October 1933 to rave reviews, As Thousand Cheers by Berlin and Hart is referred as the cynic circus pulled from recent newsworthy topics with incisive, impudent, disrespectful, and smart sketches. Some expect the British royals to balk at their portrayal on the one featuring the current Prince of Wales, Prince David, and his parents. Another sketch refers to the Metropolitan Opera, struggling through the Great Time, i.e., the Depression. A particular note is drawn to the African-American singer and actress Ethel Waters, who sings Supper Time, lyrics sung by the widow of an unknown African-American husband lynched by a mob. Ethel and Irving had only met recently that spring at Harlem's Cotton Club, before collaborating here for the first time. The dusky chanteuse is praised for her punctuating delivery. Then there are also the skits on Barbara Hutton and Prince Mdivani, Joan Crawford's divorce with Douglas Fairbanks Jr., and Gandhi, among several more, including President Hoover leaving the White House and Grandpa Rockefeller attending Radio City Music Hall. The celebrated cast is matched by its elite guests in the audience, including Al Jolson, Walt Disney, D.W. Griffith, Ina Claire, Marie Dressler, and others better known in their era. Another brief review got a little attention in October, but had a much shorter run. Hot and Bothered, starring Dorothy Dilley with a supporting role played by cousin Jimmy Donahue. The petite dancer Dilley's newly ex-husband, banking heir Louise Kaufman Jr., is recuperating in the Adirondacks while she dances to take care of their 11-month-old baby. So in needing a hit, there might have been an encouragement to get some publicity at hinting at a potential quick romance between Dilley and Jean, which would really be a folly all its own. While not openly stated in the press, no one would ever be under any impression that Jean is anything other than gay. There might be several in our story that haven't been outed for good reason, because they weren't out back then. But Jean was never, ever in the closet. By the way, another play that came in and went after 11 performances was Kultur, which focuses on Hitler and the Nazi government. A fictional scenario where an injured Hitler is treated by a German Jewish surgeon and a Jewish blood donor. Thus, a more humanized Hitler softens his ways. Other rumors percolate that burlesque and striptease artist Sally Rand might soon star in a play titled Fan Dancer, inspired by the recent trend of fan dances appearing at clubs in Harlem and Greenwich Village. And in one more note, I always like to reference and highlight any other adjoining or crossover of characters, whether main or minor. This time, two new names appear together and separately. Socialite and singer Bobby LaBranche is first mentioned winning second place at Elsa Maxwell's Scavenger Hunt after having secured Pola Negri's panties. Pola is quite unhappy over the attention. By situational coincidence, the faux panties are replaced with an autograph sock by Marilyn Miller, the same actress who portrays Barbara in the Berlin and Hart skit. Bobby also greets Barbara upon her return at the Bremen with her cousin Jean and former admirer James Blakely. Pola's mention parallels unrelated directly but somewhat indirectly related to her ex-husband's Prince Serge Mdivani's divorce from Mary McCormick. These little tie-ins help flesh out this bygone era and helps illustrate how interconnected and somewhat incestuous this world can be. A very, very small world indeed. Seriously, forewarned, we have many of these little overlaps to come, and some are way more salacious. Section 3. Contemporary and Personal Relevance. Some things change and some things stay the same, and so it seems ever more true in what people pay attention to. Take a birthday, a big birthday, and there's going to be plenty of attention. With modern celebs, especially females, there is emphasis on when they turn 18, as if they then become automatic fodder for a more perverted male gaze that was covertly happening when they were minors, and with a hope and expectation that these young females might pose nude to shed their child personas. There has been backlash to this pervy attention with stars like the Olsen twins, Mary-Kate and Ashley, as well as more recent Stranger Things star Millie Bobby Brown. Then there's another aspect, and no matter the context, there will always be a note on appearance, especially if it is a female. Once again, Millie Bobby Brown and her supposed rapid aging. Then the sudden Pam Anderson severely reduced makeup look, or who has had what plastic surgery? Jennifer Aniston, Lauren Sanchez Bezos. And of course, last but not least, and likely more long-lasting historical topic of gossip, weight loss. Yes, there are nearly as many references to Barbara Hutton's sudden, nearly 20-pound weight loss as to her fashion and fortune. It is pretty simultaneous in almost every article surrounding her arrival and birthday. In modern society, weight loss discussion is usually related to diet fad or trend. Atkins, Fen-Phen, gastro bypass surgery, or more recently, Ozempic or whichever semi-glutide GLP-1 might be in use. For this list, I can't even begin to name names because it seems to be a number so large that those not even considered overweight have taken the latest miracle drug to stay forever slim. Alas, many of these methods are short-term with severe side effects and unsustainable. But the pressure of appearance is time eternal. Only the preferred silhouette changes with the fashion trends and surrounding social and economic circumstances. Barbara is chubby in the time of the slender flapper, a silhouette that while the fashion will disappear in dress, will be replaced with Depression-era slenderness until the curvy trend re-enters towards World War II and the post-war era with Marilyn Monroe. Barbara, too, is overly conscientious about her weight, and like so many others, when she finally starts shedding it, will go too far. Here she is, finally getting attention, becoming a fashion icon, and yet she will be haunted both with a focus on her fortune and her weight. Not very enviable at all. Such is the life of those in the spotlight, and our young heirs and heiresses will be forevermore subjects of interest. An extra note. Our world has gone a bit mad for the moment. I hope you are all well. No idea for how long and how bad it might get, but eventually there will be new, brighter days. Best wishes until then. As previously mentioned, Past Perfect Vintage music has been part of every episode of As the Money Burns, a great collection of music from the 1920s, 1930s, and 1940s, digitally remastered and available to you. Check out their album, The Words and Music of Irving Berlin, a volume set with over 22 songs. Or you can get the 3-volume collection, The Words and Music Multi-Buy with George Gershwin, Noel Coward, and Irving Berlin. Interested in more period music? It can be as simple as asking Amazon's Alexa to turn on Past Perfect Vintage Radio, also available on TuneIn Radio and MyTuner Radio apps. Links in the notes and transcript. Recently, a new listener reached out because he had written a book on the history of tango, Paris and New York and Fresedo by Jose Manuel Araque. Among the stories of the popular dancer Fresedo, the dancing couple Donna and Medrano are featured, which is how the listener found my podcast. This couple had appeared in episode 71, Muscles and Ruffles, featuring Cobina Wright shortly before she opens her private supper club. I will include a link to the book and chapter 19 where the couple is featured for those who might be curious in the notes and transcript. If you enjoy As the Money Burns, then please share, like, and subscribe. Next, when we return to As the Money Burns. Divorces come in several stages: physical, financial, legal, and emotional. The latter might be the hardest if ever to achieve, as one reporter learns with a slap in the face. Until then. As the Money Burns is an original podcast written, produced, and voiced by Nikki Woodard based on historical research. Archival music has been provided by Past Perfect Vintage Music. Check out their website at www.pastperfect.com. Please come visit us at As the Money Burns via GoodPods X, formerly Twitter, Facebook, now Mado, or Instagram. Transcripts, timeline, episode guide, and character bios are available at asthemoneyburns.com.